Good morning, everybody. I said I would do a live, and here I am today doing live. So I wanted to talk about a few things today on September 12th. We talked about September 11th yesterday. So I've been watching the news more than I should. So I guess we have a new Marbury virus coming out. So it's a uh, viral hemorrhagic virus. Scary. We all need to pay attention, according to the New York City Health, um, whatever they're called. It's 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 kind of accustomed to Ebola. So I think on October 1st there's going to be a big national broadcasting alert, like comes on your phone and your TV and all that. It's going to be everything, internet, live streaming, everywhere, whatever's going on. Boom, there'll be that, and they might talk about this Marbury, Marbury virus at that time just to test the test, or maybe it's a conspiracy, or maybe it's just a test. We don't know because see, the government does all kinds of weird shit, and then we're supposed to just assume it's for our own good because it's for our own good. So we don't know if it'll just be a normal emergency broadcasting test and they're just trying to make sure it works everywhere. Because God forbid something bad happens and we're not aware of it, like, COVID, like Marbury, not that they wouldn't beat us over the head with it anyway. So the emergency broadcast, I remember growing up in Tucson, Arizona, they had the big sirens, and every day, every Saturday at noon or something like that, it would just blast, and you could hear it everywhere. And every city, I think, had those. And that was for, in case Russia decided to drop nukes on us, which apparently never happened. But it was a scare thing. And then they spent a bunch of money on this emergency broadcast system. And so we would have like maybe 10 minutes to kiss our asses goodbye. Now, what they're doing is going, you know, internet, streaming, radio, TV, everything, and they got rid of the big, blaring speakers, and so it's a little more civilized, but it's still just a thing because now if there's actually gonna like if some country was gonna blast us, it would probably be an EMP that would be way up in the atmosphere. We would never know, and they would never know. It'd just be blink, and then it would be off. So we would still be in the dark, not knowing what the hell was going to happen if, let's just say, Russia decided to nuke us with those hyperspeed, you know, missiles and rockets and bombs that they have. We wouldn't be given the 20, 30 minutes. We'd be given maybe 5 or whatever. Still time to kiss your ass goodbye. So I was listening to. I got some notes here. I gotta get out of here and keep an eye on, so I don't get too distracted. So I've been listening to the economic ninja quite a bit, and he talks about side hustles and buying homes and be the banker. It's all very good advice. And he's talking about if you have money to invest, wait, and then you can get a house for a really good deal. It'd be a rental property or something like that, or maybe you could flip it once the economy gets off its ass and starts working again. And so, and the same with you know cars, fancy custom cars that you might want. So hold off on waiting for the big deals because they're not here yet. Unfortunately, I think with his logic, and I like Economic Ninja, I think he's super smart. He sees things really in a nice way, and he understands a lot. He's not an advisor, but he's smart as shit. But I think he's overlooking something when he was flipping houses back in 2007 and 8, before the big, bubble blew up. Um, he was, thinking about that, and then he had to sell all his properties to, so he didn't get caught up in that shitstorm. But what happens now if you wait for the shitstorm and then you buy the properties? Good idea, makes sense to me. And then then you got to fix them up. See, that's the whole point. So unless you're a contractor, and most people with that kind of discretionary cash to just blow on a house, and pay cash for it almost or get a super good deal, you're still going to need to fix it up to either flip it or to rent it. And I see in the economy today, most people don't want to work. I mean, I built my house, both phases of it. Me and my wife did everything ourselves and bought the materials. Um, if you're not that person and you go out and buy a house that maybe needs some work and now you got such a good deal, you got that house for half price. Yes, you're going to need to learn to work on it because most people don't want to work. I mean, I see in the building industry right now, people are having a hard time getting contractors to just go to work. It's like, holy shit, for real? So that is a problem that you will face. So I think maybe I need to post on Economic Ninja something about that because it's like great advice, but you're overlooking the problem that we're going to have when this shit hits the fan. And so that leads me a little bit to my notes on the economy because that's really, what's going to happen. When the end of the world as we know it hits, it will be because politicians basically fucked everything all up because that's what they do because they're stupid and they don't understand. Like, my city council here, they go to these League of Cities meetings and they get all pumped up. They don't do a fucking thing, excuse my French. And I know I took French in high school and that's really not a French word. But anyway, um, they, you know, they don't do nothing. And everything they do raises taxes. And it's really, if you looked at it from just a city, a constituent, a taxpayer point of view, you'd go, that was really kind of like a boondoggle. Why did you do that? And then they lie about it when they're called on the carpet about it. And so they lie, and then you go to your city council meetings, and then you're given 3 minutes to talk, and then they don't even listen to you. And they're like, "That's great. Sounds like the whole community thinks we should sell the golf course, but we're not gonna because two or three of our really well-off constituents like playing golf. So F you, thanks for coming to the meeting. See ya." So they're not doing things right. And this is pervasive all the way through county, state, and federal government. We are not part of the equation. I've talked about it. So let me look here. It's Greg Manarino was talking about, China dumping the dollar. That was a bad one. So China is opening banks in Saudi Arabia. So see, the world, as we don't know it out there, smart people are just getting rid of the dollar and they're slowly moving to another, we'll call it a game. Everybody says that the BRICS wants to destroy America. That's not it. They're just tired of playing this version of monopoly to where the banker is corrupt and just gives out the money who he wants to and doesn't pay you when you go around past go. It's just like, no. And that's what we've done. We've weaponized the dollar and the monetary system and all that. So we're kind of screwed and can't do nothing. And so I reckon we need to be prepared for that. When China starts dumping the dollar, it's not going to go away. We will still have a bunch of paper dollars printed. Most countries will send them back to us in pallets, like all the money we sent to Afghanistan or whoever it was on that plane, just giant C4 loaded with pallets of cash. It's like, here's a bunch of dollars. And so that'll all come back to us. And so you will have, like a bunch of dollars that are worth about 3 cents. So it's like saving your pennies. So I don't know how many pennies it would take to buy a big screen TV, but imagine every three of them was $1 and it's $1,000 TV. Well, now you need 1,000 divided by what, 0.03. Would that be 3? Yeah. So it's going to cost a lot of paper dollars to buy that TV at Walmart. And Walmart probably won't even have enough money to restock all their stores, because if they're buying it from anywhere on the planet besides made in America, they're all going to be revaluing our dollar to the new currency. You see what I mean? So if we're all accepting dollars and a dollar is worth a dollar, then everything stays flush and level. But what if now they're revaluing it to an ounce of gold or something like that? Now it takes, you know, let's just say it's a dime, then it takes $10 to have one dime now, and everything's valued at that. And our leaders don't see it because they're vapid and stupid. Now, I think the deep state and the world banks and all these people, they're pretty freaking smart. So they're seeing what's going on, and they're doing this on purpose. I mean, they're not maybe in bed with the BRICS nation or Russia and China, because Russia's tried to arrest Klaus Schwab for his, Great Reset and all that. And George Soros is on their, Russia's arrest list. So they're trying to arrest smart people that are destroying America and the world. Meanwhile, we're giving them platforms and sending them money and kudos and stuff like that. So, Russia and China will not allow fluoride in their water. It's a toxic chemical. So they sell it all. It's a byproduct to us because we'll put it in our water. So that's the caliber of thinking that we have run in our country. And so the deep state and the banksters know all this. They're not Americans. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about our dreams, any of that, the American way of life. They don't care about it. All they want to do is just rake up all the money in their giant yard. And so it's like leaves, and they're just raking it up. And our politicians are running over and going, here's some more leaves. Here, go put them in your big ass pile. So you can see that we're really on a path that leads to financial destruction, ruin, and mayhem. Mayhem, I guess. So there's that. And then the FDIC knows that multiple banks right now are failing, yet they won't release that information to the plebes, because why would they? So now, granted, the FDIC, and I think it's the FDIC, they work for us. Now, the Federal Reserve is not federal and it's not a reserve, and they don't work for us. But the FDIC does all their stress tests and all that, and they're like, holy shit, all of the banks are in serious trouble. Don't tell the American people. And I'm sure there's somebody in that room goes, yeah, but aren't they the ones that we work for? Aren't they the ones that, pay for all this knowledge and stuff? And it's like, whatever. Shut up, Bob. Get out of here and go get me a cup of coffee. So they don't care either. So there's cracks, there's weaknesses in this giant financial economic structure that's starting to crumble. And they're looking at the bridge that we're all driving on, and they're going, man, that's going to fall apart pretty soon. Don't we think we should shut the road down and tell them? No, because they will panic, and then it will just happen quicker, really. So I guess in a nice way, they're trying to protect us, so you know we pay them for knowledge and to give us a heads up, and then what do? They get all this knowledge, and then we don't get a heads up. It's like, whatever. So that's how I see the world. See, there's more scares with viruses and all that coming, and it might be a very legitimate virus, and but they're going to use it to control us more, because just like the other virus. So that's bad. The economy is collapsing. The FDIC knows it's collapsing. They're not telling us. You turn into any of the news channels, from Fox Business and Neil Cavuto to any of them, and they're just going to be blowing, hopium smoke up your behind and up your skirt, because they don't care. And so we, as thinkers, need to go, wow, what can I do about this? And so, most preppers and financial preppers have been saying for years, you got to get ready for the shitstorm that is upon us. And how do you do that? So I've done a few podcasts long ago when I had a podcast about end of the world industries. And like I have my laser and I have a CNC machine and I have a lot of tools and welders, and so there's not a whole lot I can't do except weld really well. I can weld, but not really well. So these would become things, and when I buy them and people go, well, why did you build that or make this CNC machine or buy that laser? It's like to learn something and to have something, because I have a day job. So I make good money with our business. But what happens when people stop buying carpet and floor covering in their homes? What happens then? What happens like if you have a laser business and you're engraving keychains and dog tags and, trinkets and baubles basically. And now your neighbor, was going to order a bunch of keychains for his team or his football team or his, four-wheel drive team. And now he's like, I'm not going to spend that money on it because we're dismantling the four-wheel drive club because we can't afford gas and we can't afford the time off and we can't leave because things are so bad that law and order is broken down pretty much completely in the area I live in, which is happening. I mean, it's not far-fetched. It's not doom and gloom. It's happening in lots of places in California. I just listening to this podcast right here with Larry Elder on Patrick Bet David podcast, and he's talking. He lives in Hollywood Hills. He's been there for most of his life, and 2 blocks in either direction. There's homeless. There's crime. There's needles. There's tents. It's just all of the horrible things. And he said, unfortunately, people leaving California are coming to Arizona and these other states, and they're not connecting the dots of why they left California. So they're coming to your state and my state and voting for the same policies that destroyed their home. So Larry Elder makes a great point. It's like these liberals that have destroyed certain states don't connect the dots that it was actually the policies that they were allowing to happen that created the disaster that they had to leave. They're just like, well, it's the cost of living. It costs too much. And they never ask, well, why does it cost so much? It's like, oh, because we fucked it up. No, they're not going to do that. So things change. And so if you have a side hustle, maybe you flip used cars or houses and stuff, those are going to become items that your average person next door can't afford anymore. They don't need a bunch of trinkets and baubles that you're pumping out of your laser home hobby business slash make money on Etsy. See, everything I've bought on Etsy in years is stuff that won't feed me, won't pay my bills, and won't make me live another day. Now, if I could buy guns on Etsy, sure, then I would be giving them lots of money. So when you look at your side hustle, your end of the world industry, you're going to need to be, a lot of people go, well, I'm going to garden and can. Well, see, that's now something. You can take your hobby of farming and turn it into something. I'm a meat eater. So I'm thinking I need to learn to make really good jerky and freeze dry it so it'll last 20, 30 years, because jerky will last a long time, in a fridge or even in a pantry for maybe 5, 6 months, but not 20 years. That's a big, so if I'm going to spend money on building up an inventory for a future date, then it needs to be freeze dried and very long term. And so that's kind of what I'm looking at doing as far as food, like, and we've been freeze drying, me and my wife, tons of stuff. Most of it's kind of for us, but you know, hamburger meats and things that we would eat because we're meat eaters. Now, I could take that down to the market with the farmer and go, here, look at this, with what you grow and my freeze dried meat. Now they have a balanced meal, which is horseshit. But anyway, so there's a lot you can do, um, by thinking about doom and gloom. I'm sorry. I mean, people will probably go mark your doom and gloom like Jeremy Ababe, which is an economic guy, or the financial prepper, or the ninja, or anyone that talks about this. Even Peter Schiff is called Dr. Doom. You know, it's like, okay, it's kind of doomish, but you can listen to a religious podcast, and they're telling you got to live this way, and it all boils down to why you'll go to hell. Oh, you won't go to heaven. Oh, might not go to hell, but you're bad enough. You're not going to go to heaven. Oh, see, so that's kind of doom and gloom, isn't it? Live your life this way or go to hell. But churches don't get that moniker of doom and gloom. They're just like, oh, it's so uplifting. Uplifting, you're going to go to hell. So this podcast talking about end times is not doom and gloom. It's uplifting, because you have to look at what was written in the financial scriptures, the ebbs and flows throughout history of nations and empires like the Byzantine Empire, the freaking Roman Empire. There's so many of them that were like, boom, boom. It's great. It sucks. Boom. It's wonderful. It sucks. So those are the scriptures you need to look at and the writing on the wall and go, this is going to be bad. Just like when I die and I'm judged for being a dumbass, I might not go to heaven. If I didn't prepare, I might starve. Same thing. So anybody that wants to comment later on down the road and go, Mark, you're so full of doom and gloom. It's like, I really don't want to hear from you. I don't honestly care what you think. I mean, I have enough doom and gloom in my religious thinking as far as God, heaven, and the war in heaven that, you know, I got enough problems dealing with how I feel about certain things. But this is not doom and gloom. This is prepare. That's like saying the Boy Scouts were doom and gloom. Their motto was, be prepared. Learn how to make fires. You get all these merit badges for learning to hike, learning to find water, learning to create a fire, learning how to set up a tent, how to build a shelter, how to make a rope bridge. All these things we learned in Scouts in case someday you're out there, and it wasn't just so you could go camping, which was fun as shit. It was about what happens when you get lost or something happens and you're out in the forest and there's a forest fire and you got to run, and you're lost. You can do things. You can make signal fires. You can survive and not die. That's not doom and gloom. So I implore all my listeners that may have logged on. Obviously, I don't see anybody popping in here as we're live, but then, hey, I've only got 50 subscribers, and I'm trying this time frame to see how it works. So you can comment on this video once it's on YouTube or however that live shit works, and say, yeah, the timing was a little off for me, Mark. Because that's like the morning, and I have a day job just like you, and I don't have that day off, so maybe later. So maybe I will try to come back on like Thursday at say 4. I think 4 would probably be good. I see a lot of the podcasters, like Greg Manarino. He does one in the morning for a pre-market thing because he's in the markets, and he's called Robin Hood of Wall Street. And then he does one around 4, I think, just that, here's what happened in the world of economics. So I could try that if even though my delivery is kind of rushed sometimes and sporadic, um, if you think you got something out of it, then click like. A lot of people say click like, before the video even starts. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give you a tip for the service when I just walked in the restaurant because you might suck and the food might suck. And so, therefore, no, not going to happen. I need to work on this camera. Let's see something here. If we go down a little bit, I stand back, get my hand movement in there. I got a little bit more room I could move in here. I could try that. So do the like. If you think I suck and I should shut the hell up, do the thumbs down. I totally get it. Subscribe to the channel because I put a lot of other videos on there, and maybe my live video Thursday will be on a new compressor I bought from Harbor Freight. And I can't do these kind of streams in my shop because I don't have internet that far out there. But I might talk about some of what I've learned, and I'll film some stuff about it, and then I don't see. How do you even put that in there? I don't know. Don't get it. But anyway, I will try to maybe do that. So the rest of the channel is about DIY projects. And like I was saying on one of my podcasts, I haven't been working on the barn lately because it's just stormy and threatens to rain, even though it threatened all day yesterday and then it didn't rain. It's like dick. But so I can't put up all my TGI joists, and I have a video on YouTube on building my own DJIs, DIY. What are they called? They're called I-joists. They're made out of particle board, or not particle board, OSB, oriented strand board, and then 2x4s. And that OSB doesn't like water, and so I can't let them get rained on or get wet. They've been covered since when I built them and all that. So maybe once I get them up, I'm going to paint them because they'll still be underneath a metal roof, but wind and rain and humidity will be able to get there. So I think I'm going to get them up there and then paint them, and then I'll do that. So other than that, thanks. I'm trying. I'll try to get a little bit more. I had some notes here, but I don't know. Some people got the gift of gab. I've never had that. So I try to make notes and take it down. I can talk for hours about nutrition and biochemistry and carnivore diet and all that, but it has to be an interactive conversation with somebody that's asking and wanting to learn things and stuff. If I'm just doing the talking head thing, I kind of screw up. So bear with me. I'll learn some more. Like I said, I've only done a few live things. I've been doing podcasting for 7 years probably, but not the live. And I figure it can't be any worse than my podcast if I go live. So that's why I have to wear this, because I can't sit in front of a microphone and just, talk. So I have to move around a lot, as you probably noticed. I'm going to get back to my Patrick Bet David, or PBD podcast. Larry Elder's saying some pretty smart things. I was kind of curious about whether I would vote for Larry Elder, because I thought he kind of walked away from the recall election in California with Newsom. And it didn't seem like he put up a fight for the fraud that went on. But he's explaining what happened and how outspent he was and how the Republican Party just wouldn't back him and all that. So he's the, how does he say it? He's the black face of white supremacy. And he's actually a pretty smart guy, and he's funny. And so I'm going to listen to the rest of that. I would recommend to anyone else that, jump on and listen to Patrick Bet David podcast. Listen to Economic Ninja. I'll try to tag him in this thing. Other than that, I'm going to get out of here, and maybe I'll catch you guys on Thursday around, let's just say 3 to 4. And what I'll do is I'll set up the live stream and put it out there so it's showing that it's like, hey, now, notify me or something like that. And I will try to talk a little bit about my new compressor that I bought from Harbor Freight. It's on sale, and some of my ongoing DIY projects and my update on what I'm working with lately on my CNC machine. It's a 4 foot by 4 foot, and I think I'm going to make it bigger once I get that working. And so we'll have that on there, and then I'll talk about some more of the politics, because I think Thursday is getting close to the weekend. Weekends are where they hide a lot of stuff and sweep it under the rug. So if they want to screw us, so if you're paying attention Thursday and Friday, you can kind of see more of that writing on the wall and the coming wave. I think doing like today on a Tuesday, the wave is still way out there, and you don't really see it even forming or breaking yet. The current's there, but you don't see it starting to break. I think Thursday you can start seeing that wave, and as it starts to break, you go out and catch it and surf it in. That's what I've noticed about surfing when I was at the beach. And so Thursdays might be better for you. Let me know. Um, Maybe I'll try to change my camera angle up here, get it a little closer to the TV. So we got that in the background. I'm not really sure. But anyway, you guys all have a great one. I'll talk to you later. Now I got to walk over there and tell it to stop the podcast. So bye.